Hello, hello. Good afternoon, everyone. Thank you so much for joining us. Hi, Carmen. Nice to meet you. Hi, Saiba. Hi, Stacy. Hi, Danielle. Hi, Irina. Hello, hello. I'm Rami Sunga. I am filling in today for Liz, and you'll see me this today, and you'll see me next week. So thank you all so much for joining us. We're just gonna wait for a few more seconds, see if there's any more people who will be joining us, and then we will start our presentations soon. Take just a few more seconds while we wait. How are you doing today, Reem?
Good, thank you.
I always, it's always fun while we wait for everyone to come on in. So
Yeah, yeah. We had sunny weather over the weekend and got some gardening done, which is always a nice thing in the spring.
nice. I'm a little jealous. It's raining out here in Sacramento.
Is it? Well, it's
Yeah.
today it's raining here too. We've got nothing but April showers today.
Yeah. All right. It looks like we waited one more minute, so we're good to go. So let's go ahead and get started. Again, good afternoon. My name is Rami Sunga. I'm filling in for Liz today. Thank you so much for joining us for the Marketing Mastery Series, Strategies and Tactics for Modern Business Growth, brought to you in partnership with the California Office of Small Business Advocate, the Sacramento MBA Business Center, the San Joaquin SBDC, and the Small Business Transportation Resource Center Southwest Region. Today, we are going to go over streamlining success, tools for marketing, and sales efficiency. During today's session, you will discover how to leverage marketing tools for automation and increase efficiency in both marketing and sales processes. Get practical advice on choosing and implementing the right tools for your business. Without further ado, I'd like to introduce Reem to the spotlight. Go ahead, Reem. Have a great presentation.
Thanks, Romy. All right, let's begin, guys. Let's share my screen. We'll get the presentation going. All righty. This is the fifth session in a 7-part series. Today we're talking about marketing automation. We've already covered social media, marketing campaigns, digital marketing landscape in general, and marketing strategies. What's left next week and the week after, we'll be doing online advertising and then data analytics. So today's agenda, we're going to do a little introduction to what marketing automation is, the different types of marketing automation that's out there. We'll talk a little bit about integrated marketing platforms. And then we'll get into the specifics of email marketing, social media, and CRMs. All righty. What you'll take away, you'll get a clear framework of how to choose the right platforms. There's hundreds out there at this point. An overview and understanding of what automation is, how you can start building the core of your automation so that things are running smoothly when you're under the weather or busy with family and friends. And then making sure that your customers have a holistic and consistent experience because it's not relying on you. Their experience is not relying on you. You set up an automation, it runs smoothly, and they have their questions answered and they're engaged with you and your business. So that is our goal. Along the way, of course, as always, you're going to have step-by-step guides, templates, and action items to do to get your marketing automation going. And as always, there is an accompanying workbook for today's session. You can click the link in the chat to grab it or use the QR code on the screen in front of you to grab your copy of this week's workbook. Every week we have a different workbook. Make sure you have them all. I'll give you guys a minute to grab a copy of this workbook. We won't be working directly from the workbook this week as we had in the last couple of weeks, but just that you have it. Give you guys a second. All righty, let's dive in. Hope everyone has their copy by now. So the power of automation. What can automation do for you? It can save up your time. It'll free up your time for more strategic marketing activities or to grow your business. It'll increase your efficiency. It'll streamline your workflows and automate repetitive tasks for you. It'll improve personalization. So you are delivering targeted marketing messages to the right audience. It'll also boost engagement because it'll automate, you can automate social media interactions and email outreach. And you'll also gain valuable insights. The more you do, the more data you have. So you can track your campaign performance and make data-driven decisions based on these automations that you're building. Now, in the workbook, you're going to find a comprehensive assessment of your marketing and sales functions. And why this is important, and it's a little bit tedious, I understand. Skip what you need to skip, but don't skip it all together. You do need to assess where your marketing is right now. Where are you spending your time? Where should you be spending your time? Once you start marketing, you get bombarded with ads for fancy tech that promises it'll solve all your problems and you'll start getting sales. And before you waste money, be clear on what you need, right? What do you need? What is working for you? What's not? Where can you save time? And don't get swept away by the ads, all right? Really focus on yourself, your business, and your needs. All righty. Let's take a look. So some of these options are pricey. One thing you want to do is set a realistic budget. We've talked about budgeting before. Here's a breakdown if you're an early stage, and I think most of you guys are. You probably want your budget to be 5 to 10% of your revenue. If you've been around for a while, I don't think we have anyone like that here, then be 10 to 20. And then again, looking at how much time should you spend on your marketing. So if you're in the startup phase and you're just beginning, you're in your first year or so, you're going to be aiming for 2 to 4 hours per day. I know for some of you, 2 hours per day is the most that you can do. That's fine. As you start growing and things pick up, we call it product market fit, right? Your product and the market have found their niche and they're fitting together. You can spend less time because then there's momentum, right? But initially, when no one knows about you, you're gonna have to spend a little bit more time for that brand awareness and to get out there and start getting engaged customers and have engaged social media or whatever it is wherever it is you're reaching out to your customers. And then eventually you'll have a larger team. You'll have your marketing's growing and you can start delegating and you don't need to be the marketer anymore. And if you really can't do any of this, then maybe 30 minutes a day. Time blocking is your friend. You can get a lot done if you have a routine and you block some time and you get a little bit done on a regular basis. So as you're assessing your current situation, take inventory of your marketing activities, and you're going to find worksheets in the workbook that break it down for you. How much time do you spend on social media? How much time do you spend on email, etc. So where are you spending your time? And then also look where are your customers coming from. So are you spending 3 hours a day on looking for content ideas to post on social media, creating content for social media, but then none of your customers are coming from social media? They're all coming from doing a Google search for, coffee shop near me. That's how they're finding your coffee shop. Then maybe you want to use your time elsewhere. Maybe social media wasn't the right channel, right? Or maybe you need to maintain your social media, but don't put as much time into it because it's not the place where your customers are. It's not where they're coming to you from, all right? So you want to make sure you're aligning where your customers are coming from with where you're spending your time, right? So very important to take a look at. And then next thing is to look at your sales process. Map your sales funnel. Go through the experience as if you're a customer. Right? Go into the shoes of your customer. Go to your website. Go to your store, wherever it is. Walk in and pretend that you're the customer. What's the first thing you're going to see? What is it going to help you get to the next step, Are there points of frustration? Are there points where if they send you an email, you're not going to answer for a couple of days because you're busy, right? Find those bottlenecks and fix them. And if you get to a point where you feel like I don't see anything wrong, then get help from a friend, a neighbor, or family relative. Have them walk through and give you their advice. What are they seeing? What was frustrating for them? A lot of times your website, you created it. It looks intuitive to you. It makes sense to you. You know what that button means. You made the button, right? But you need a distant extra pair of eyes that has never seen it before and doesn't know what you meant when you said click here. All right. And then you're going to take a look at your tools and resources. What are you currently using? Is it working for you? What you're using meeting your needs? And what are your needs? Well, we just determined that, right? We just looked at your time and we discovered where you need more time. We also looked at your sales funnel and you looked at your bottlenecks. That's one of your needs. You need something to fix those bottlenecks, right? And so take a look at your tools and resources. Where are you at? Can you afford to buy more tools? We took a look at the budget earlier. Align with your budget. How much are you spending? Do you have space to spend more? And of course, if you have a team, then gather team input. And then next is time to bridge those gaps, right? Start making some action item lists. So if you looked at your time and you know how much you should be spending, right? We looked at that already. You know how much time you are spending. Where can you make changes? Are you not spending enough time? Should you be spending more time? Are you spending too much time? And then again, align it, look at your business. Where are the clients coming from? What's your sales funnel bottlenecks? What are your priorities? Determine your priorities and then restructure your time so that you're putting your time strategically where it makes sense for you. Next thing is looking at your resources. Are you a solo? Do you have a team? Can your team be doing more? Is it time to outsource? Or maybe it's time to hire. For a lot of small businesses, marketing is a great place to get student interns from high school or college. And for high school interns, you might not even have to pay them. College interns maybe as well. When there's new people coming out onto the job market, a lot of times their resume is empty and they will gladly take a marketing role in your small business so that they can have a resume, so they can get their next job. So consider that as an option. If you feel like you don't have time for marketing and you need extra help, or social media isn't your thing. Most high school and college kids these days, 80% of them maybe, social media is their thing. That's where they spend all their time. Reach out to your local high school, reach out to any colleges you might have nearby, and talk to the Career Center and say, hey, I have a small business. I'm running a small business. I need interns. It'll be decided if it's going to be paid or an unpaid internship, and ask them what are the steps. What can you do to recruit? And they often, the Career Centers are in touch with students who are looking for jobs. So they might right then be like, hey, I know a great student. He's really into your product. She's really into your product. Make a perfect fit. All right. And optionally, of course, you have your own customer base. Just wanted to make sure I put that out there because I know money's tight, but there are ways you can get help without having a lot of money. All right. Knowledge building, you're already doing that. Let's go to the next slide. All right. Types of automation tools. The first one we're talking about is the most important one for you. For most of you, it's going to be the all-in-one marketing platforms. These do everything. They manage your email, your social media. You can create landing pages. They have built-in analytics. Some of the analytics have built-in attribution. We'll talk about that on session 7. Some of the examples of those would be like HubSpot or Pardot, which integrates with Salesforce. These can be expensive, so you need to shop around and see if it really makes sense for you. Email marketing tools. So these are just platforms that just do email, right? They send out the emails, they help you with segmentation, targeting, drip campaigns, where it's like one email after the other that you've set up in advance. The most famous one is MailChimp. It gives you about 200 contacts and that are for free. You can have 200, you can have a list of 200. After that, you'll start paying. But worth looking into. MailChimp is by far the industry standard. Social media management tools. These may or may not make sense for your company. It depends how deep you are into social media. But what you can find if you do decide to go into this is scheduling and publishing in advance, social listening, community management, and analytics. The biggest ones, the big names here are Sprout Social and Hootsuite. CRMs are like databases. They house all the information about your contacts, and you can store whatever you want. So you can store information about anything about the contact. And I'll give you a great example. I think everyone loves this example, Chewy.com. They of course have in their CRM all the information about your pet, right? What kind of pet your breed, their name, their age. They know everything about your pet. And one of the things that they do, they have an automation set up for, is when a person cancels a subscription because the pet passed away, they have an automation that automatically sends a bouquet of flowers to your address with a note saying, sorry for your loss, right? So that's as far, you could go further, but that is the extent of what you can do when you couple your CRM with automations, right? So your CRM holds all the information about your customers so that you can give them personalized services. There's no way on earth Chewy.com, there's someone sitting there who memorized the names of all your pets and and manually places those orders. That's not how it works, right? Content marketing automation will help you with your calendars, can potentially help with the content creation, schedule out publications for you in advance so you don't have to be online at that exact moment. They can also integrate with social media so that when you create a new blog post, for example, the associated social post gets posted as well. And then provide analytics, etc. HubSpot is one of people's favorites. Customer engagement and retention. So these are platforms that focus really on learning more about your customer, could be surveys, etc., engaging with them. And this is really folded into other platforms. There aren't that many dedicated platforms anymore at this point. Really, it's most platforms do involve customer engagement and retention. E-commerce, if you're selling online, this will be relevant for you. I don't think we have anyone who does, so I'm going to go right past it. And then events and webinars. Generally, Zoom, for example, has an advanced. There's also Cvent if you're doing webinars. And then if you're doing in-person, Eventbrite, of course, it's a place to go. And they'll streamline everything for you. And you're probably already there, right? But if you're not, it's something to look into. Okay. For most small businesses, you don't have time or capacity to handle 10 different platforms, right? So here are the most popular ones. And when I recommend that you use them. And I'm going to start, well, I'll start from the top. HubSpot is the be-all, do-all for most small businesses. It has the CRM, it has email marketing, content marketing, social media. It even has e-commerce, but most people don't necessarily use the HubSpot e-commerce, but it's there. Okay, so that is the sort of go-to for most people. Now, it can be pricey, it adds up, right? If your business model is such that your sales is not very high touch, the most you're going to be doing is emails. MailChimp is probably the one for you. You may not actually need something as advanced as HubSpot. You could go something a little cheaper and go with MailChimp. It does preserve your list, your CRM with some, it's not super advanced, but you will have the basic information you need. And it's good enough for most brick and mortars. If you're an in-person shop, then MailChimp may be all you need because you probably may not have a website. If you have a website, you'll want HubSpot. If you don't, MailChimp is good enough. Or if you have a website, but it's just like for landing pages, for events, etc., that you're holding at the store or discounts or something, then MailChimp is good enough because you can build landing pages with it. But if you want an advanced website, you're going to need HubSpot. Now, if your business is very high touch sales, particularly if you're B2B, so you're not selling to one person, you're selling to one person plus their manager plus that person's manager, right? You have multiple stakeholders you need to convince, and you need to keep track of all of this. Then you might be better off with something like Salesforce with the Pardot integration, Pardot being the marketing side, Salesforce being the CRM side. And we'll talk a little bit more about that later. This is pricier. You might want to hold off on it. And Pardot is not as easy to use as HubSpot. HubSpot is very much drag and drop. Pardot is not. Okay. Email automations. All righty. This is the one I think everyone's going to be using, regardless if if you decide to go with an all-in-one platform, which has this built in, or doing just a MailChimp situation. Let's talk a little bit about email lists. So what can you do with them? You can create personalized emails. When we say that, we mean dynamic content. When we talk about dynamic content in emails, it means inserting information into the email that's very specific. That makes it more personalized, and that can be done all automatically, like their name or their birthday, if you're sending a birthday message with a special discount, purchase history, like past purchases, asking, hey, are you out of hand lotion? Is it time for your next order, etc. And then website behavior, click to links. You're not going to tell them that you saw that they clicked a link because then you look stalkerish and horrible. No one wants to see that. But you'll know what products they viewed. And then based on that, you can give them content that is relevant to them. So, and have like a template for your email with this one little verb that pops in or out based on what you know that they've looked at. So how are you going to use it? We talked about that a little bit already. You can put that in a subject line, their name, like, hey, so, hey, Danielle, don't miss out on these deals, etc. You can showcase targeted products. We already talked about that. Let's see. We talked about this. Let's move on. A/B testing. If you haven't done it before, quick breakdown of what A/B testing is. It's also known as split testing. What happens when you set up an A/B test in your email is that you're going to split your list of recipients. Let's say you have 1,000 recipients. You're going to test out whatever it is you want to test on 200 of them. Those 200 will be split in half. 100 will get version A of your test. Another 100 would get version B of your test, and those will be sent out simultaneously and they'll be randomized. After a given point of time, whatever it is you're testing for, so you could be testing for open rates. You might be changing something in the subject line. You're not sure which subject line is best. So you put them both into an A/B test. 100 people get subject line A, 100 people get subject line B. Then after an hour or two, you compare which one has the highest open rate. Whichever one has the highest open rate gets sent to the remaining of your 800 list. All this happens automatically. So instead of sitting down agonizing over your subject lines or the buttons that you put inside your emails of click here, you can start using A/B testing to figure out what works and what doesn't. You're stuck between two things, make an A/B test, all right? And then you'll know what happens. Platform will figure it out for you. It'll tell you this is the winning one, and it'll send it to the rest. So things people test often. Marketers often test the subject lines, make sure people are opening. The sender name. So in some cases, if the email comes from a person as opposed to from a company, sometimes it's to your advantage. Sometimes a person is to your advantage, sometimes the company is to your advantage. And it'll depend on the content inside, and it'll depend on your audience, right? So for example, if you get an email from Rami Sunga, are you going to open it? Or if you get an email from SBTRC Southwest, are you going to open it? That's the question at hand, right? So you can change the from. It doesn't have to be your name. It could be your name. It could be your company name, or it could be a fun name, right? Sometimes people will do like pet names or something if it's a pet food company. So it's like from our pet to yours type idea. All right. The pre-header text, this is a short, it has different names in different platforms. Text that you set that appears for in their email and is not actually part of the content of your email. And it's something that you can put into your email as you're setting it up to encourage people to open your emails. So once they open the email, that content will not be there. So it can be a little misleading, and some people don't like to use them. They'll just let the pre-header text be the first few words. But take a look at yours, because if the first few words of your emails are not enticing, then you're better off putting something enticing in there for your pre-header. Other things to test, like we said, are the buttons, that's your CTAs. Make sure your CTAs are clear, your buttons are clear. You can test 2 different ones. And then the content itself, what are you putting at the beginning? What are you putting at the end? Wording, whatever it is you want to test. You can also test send times. It's a little trickier to do, but you can do this as well. The important thing to know when you're setting up an A/B test only one thing. Don't be testing multiple things. Don't test subject lines along with your call to action. You're not gonna get clean data. All right, it'll be very confusing. You're gonna break down your audience. It's not gonna be clean data. Test one thing at a time. And then I know it could be tedious, but document it somewhere. Keep a record. Open up a Word doc, open up an Excel file, I don't care, but somewhere, keep notes of your learnings. Like, hey, the emoji in the subject line worked. People actually clicked on it when there was an emoji. And then the next time, like, okay, 5 emojis was overload. Nobody clicked when they saw 5 emojis. It looked like spam. Whatever it is you're learning as you go along about your audience, keep a note of it so that you're not losing your insights with time. All righty. Now, here are some of the essential email automation workflows. The welcome email series, this is when you have a new subscriber or someone who signed up new on your website or made a new purchase, and you welcome them. This will be a series of emails. All of these are a series of emails. Abandoned cart emails, if you're an e-commerce site and someone put something in the cart, but they didn't buy it, and you follow up with email to encourage them to go back and make that purchase. Win back campaigns. This is if you have people who were subscribing, but they started to disappear. So you try to offer them exclusive discounts or valuable content, something to bring them back. Now, just want to point out, this is actually really important for small to medium businesses who are using things like MailChimp that have a user limit. So if you have 200 people or so already, and you need to free up space, send out a win back campaign. If you can win them back, great. If you can't, you may need to toss them. You don't have to completely delete them. You can download the ones that you're about to remove, save them somewhere, and bring them back later if you ever upgrade to beyond 200 and want to attempt a win back campaign a second time. But don't carry around with you heavy baggage, right? If there's someone who isn't responding, isn't opening your emails, maybe moved out of town, keep track of those and sort of cut the fat so you can focus on the users who are engaged and can be faithful and customers and fans of your business. I know it sounds horrible. You don't want to delete anyone. You're going to save them. You'll come back to them when your company grows, but maybe they've moved out of town, right? So it's really doesn't make sense for you to be targeting them. All right. Post-purchase emails. Again, a series of emails that thanks them, that follows up with them, and encourages them to make their next purchase. Oopsies. Birthday and anniversary emails. Happy birthday. Here's a little gift from us. Come by for a free cake pop or something, etc. And I think you guys are all familiar with these. Now, in your workbook, you're going to find templates for all 5 of these. It'll give you an idea of how to space them out and the content. I'll go through quickly what one of them looks like. For the welcome email series, and this is just a part of it. In the workbook, you'll find, like, I think this is like, I don't remember, 4-part email series. I can't remember. Maybe it was even a 5-part email series. You'll find templates for all 5 emails and the spacing of them in the workbook. So you have a new customer. So they just opted in to receive your email marketing communications. The trigger, we didn't talk about this yet. I'll talk about it in a minute, but when you set up an automation starts with a trigger, something that triggers the automation to start. And in this case, it's going to be a new lead signs up for your email list, or they create an account, or they make a purchase, and they check off the little opt-in saying, yes, I want to receive marketing from you guys. All right. So it might not be that they're per se signing up for your email list. They might be doing something else on your site, like making a purchase, but that small little box, check box just before they hit purchase that says, send me marketing emails, they check that off, and now you have permission to email them. So new person, new emails. It'll automatically start sending a series of personalized emails introducing your brand, value prop, or whatever it is that you provide them. And really the goal with this is to get them engaged with your brand and to love your brand and start making purchases. So the very first email you'll send will be set to immediately. So every time you set up a workflow, you're going to set up a trigger, something to get it to go. So it's new person assigns up. And then you're going to assign an action. And the action has a time frame. And this one you'll set up as immediately. So it'll be warm welcome. It'll be the warm welcome. So you'll be like, welcome to name of your company's family. And then you'll put the content of your email. And there's sort of an outline right there, a template for you for creating your email. So we start with like thanking them for subscribing, say a little bit about your brand, core values, and then what they're going to get out of the subscription. Let them know that I'm not going to spam you, whatever. Say what it is that you want. And if you want them to take a next step in engaging, like you have a blog that you want them to visit or want them to know about, or you have a sale coming up, or you have an event coming up, put a clear CTA, and say, come hang out with us at our event. All right. Then a couple of days later, you can get more personal and start telling a little bit about your company's story, your backstory. How did you start, and things that can be help them relate and connect with your brand, etc., and so on and so forth. And you'll find that all in the workbook. So some keywords to know. We already talked about triggers and actions. Let's go through them. So your automation is going to be called a workflow. The landing page is the website page where you collect the leads, where they have a sign-up form. And also add new subscribers to your list. Any kind of form submission is often on your landing page. It's a place that you send. It's a web page that you send your customers to, not necessarily your home page. It could be for an event, it could be for a sale, whatever it is that you're sending your customers to, and it'll often have your lead generation form. Your subscriber list or email list, I think you all know that's the list of your emails. Suppression list, I don't think everyone knows. The suppression list is people you do not want to send emails to. It could be due to these examples, it's bounced, they've unsubscribed, or it could be that you're using that for segmenting. You don't want to send your message to everyone. You wanted everyone except this group. So anyone that has tagged with this group. So for example, if you want to send a message out to all a certain age group, but you want a certain gender, you can do exclusions based on that, right? Or inclusions, you can do, but suppression list is often the way to go. The trigger, like we said, that's what gets things moving. And the action that's going to take place. The email is going to be sent. Double opt-in, we mentioned it already. That's sort of your checkbox. Now you want to set up your first email automation. What do you need to do? You need to answer a few questions. First, you got to figure out who's going to get the email, what will trigger the email, and when do you want the email to send? What is that delay that you're going to build in if you're going to build in a delay? And then you need to build the workflow. The instructions are in the workbook, and you have all the content for the email, so you create your emails. One comment about building your workflow: if you are using a paid email plan, take advantage of the branching in the workflows. What the branching allows you to do is that we said someone signs up, you send them an email. Next step in the series is not necessarily going to be the next email. What you can do is create a branch that says, if the person didn't open the email, send this email. And this email can say, hey, we didn't hear from you. And what, just checking to see if you're interested or whatever, right? Just something to an alert, an email alert, like bouncing it up in their inbox. You can sometimes just say that, hey, just bouncing this up in your inbox, or bumping it up in your inbox. And then if they did open it, they did open the email, or if they did click, all that is being tracked, whether they opened it, whether they clicked. Those who opened and clicked, you can take them on to the next email. You branch it. And those who you sent them this email, bumping this up in your email, you send them that. If they do open it, then they continue. So it looks like they continue in your workflow. So your workflow branches and then comes back together. So there's lots that you can do with branching. Take a look at it and experiment a little. Really important, be sure to test your workflow before you send it. Make sure your triggers are working. Make sure it looks good on your phone, and always monitor and optimize. Things that happen that go wrong. Trigger mishaps. Set up the wrong trigger. The criteria were wrong. List hygiene issues if you have emails that don't bounce, emails that bounced, etc. And that's important. That's why you do the opt-in. Another automation you can do is for the opt-in to avoid the bounce is that we kind of mentioned it earlier, but I didn't go into depth, is the double opt-in. So just requiring them to confirm the email, but they didn't give you some fake email, right? So really important, if you do have a limitation, you have 200 people limitation for the free plan and you're not ready to pay, set up a double opt-in. So they check off the box saying that they opt in for your marketing emails, and then you send them an email to confirm. If they click on the link in the email to confirm, they're added to your list and you keep them. If they don't, archive them, come back to them later. Technical glitches happen. Overly complex workflows. I do recommend when first time you set up a workflow, keep it very simple. The more complicated it is, the more room for error. And then not testing enough, right? Ideally, you're going to test on your computer, your phone. Ideally, you're going to test on multiple devices, multiple platforms, Outlook versus Gmail, yada, yada. Social media. All right, we can get through this quickly. Social media management and tools. You want to schedule and publish. Wait a second. What you can do with it. So you can schedule your content in advance. This will save you a lot of time. I recommend sitting down one day and just do all your holidays. Just one day when you're in a festive mood and you feel like saying happy holidays to everyone, sit down and do them all. Do your Memorial Day, your Labor Day, all of them, your 4th of July, get everything out there. All in one day, schedule them in advance, don't think about them again. Move on with your life. You can also gain valuable insights from social listening. You can manage all your interactions from one place. You don't have to open, if you have multiple social media accounts, you don't have to open each one of them to see the messages that are coming in and to answer. You can just answer them from one place. And then of course you can track the KPIs. And when you have them all in one place, it's easier to make comparisons between your different accounts. If you only have one social media account, I don't recommend using a social media management tool. It's just an extra layer, extra expense. That's really not going to add much value. This is really important. This is really valuable if you have multiple social media accounts. You're on Instagram and you're also on Facebook and Twitter and TikTok, et cetera, or Snapchat. If you're not on all of those, then and you're just on one, just stay within that ecosystem and maximize it. So what do you get from social listening? You can get keyword monitoring. You can set up alerts every time someone mentions your brand. You get alerted. You can get sentiment analysis, which is kind of like if you're getting, there's a lot of comments out there, it'll categorize them for you and say, hey, these are positive. You got these positive, negative. They'll also help you identify influencers that you can reach out to for collaborations. Excuse me. And also help you find opportunities to engage with other, again, like kind of like the influencer identification, but also finding other customers. Alrighty, I think we're gonna make it. Customer relationship management, CRMs. Like I said, this is basically a database, but at this point, most CRMs can do more. Essentially, a CRM is a database to just keep all your information in one location regarding all your customers. And then from there, you can set up automations and communications that go out based on different information that you're gathering. So things that you can get with your CRM. Content management, we already said. Sales pipeline management. That helps you see, gives you transparency into where they are in a sales cycle. Very helpful if you have a complex sales cycle. If you're an ice cream shop, you really don't need this. They're gonna be like, ooh, give me some of that chocolate chip ice cream, right? It's not very complex. You don't need this. But if you have a complex sales pipeline, then this is going to be helpful. And then, like I said, we can use this to build out your marketing automation. A lot of these now have customer service management. So if a customer complains about something and issues a ticket, and you can handle it and you can keep track of everything there. And everything in the world these days has reporting and analytics. So some of the benefits, you can improve your customer relationships, increase efficiency. You got better customer service. You can make data-driven decisions. And you can have everyone together, working together, your sales and marketing, when you start growing and you have separate sales and marketing teams. Some of the important things to take care of when you're setting up your CRM for the very first time. User accounts and permissions. If you have multiple people on your team, you want to make sure the right people have the right permissions. And then system settings, pretty basic. You can go through your currencies, your time zones, etc. If you're using multiple, for example, you're using Salesforce, but you're not using the Salesforce email, you're using Pardot email, you can build those integrations in. And then the custom fields and layouts. And this one I'm going to take a pause and talk about a little bit. A lot of CRMs allow you to create your own fields. And so when you create them, a couple of words of advice. Stay away from the notes field, right? It's very easy to just have one notes field where you just dump everything in there. It doesn't help with data. Still have a notes field. I'm not saying not to have a notes field or a comments field, but try to categorize things as much as possible. So for example, if you've lost a customer, right? Categorize the reasons for churn so that you can make data-driven decisions later. If you just write a long paragraph about why you lost a customer, it's going to be hard to gather data later. So make a checklist. They moved away. They said the price was too high. They said it was a one-time purchase. They're not interested anymore. Like, I got it, I'm done. They said they didn't like it. They didn't like you. They didn't like the product, or they didn't like the service. You might want to break those out separately. So whatever it is you're hearing as to why people are leaving and not coming back, categorize those reasons, put them into your CRM, categorized, so you can easily pull up the data a month from now, 2 months, a year from now. You can see the numbers very clearly. All right. Yeah, so that was an important note. I just wanted to make sure that everyone's doing that. And I know a lot of people prefer to just write notes because it has more feels to it. But if you create a checklist, it's easier. And then you're going to decide, can you check more than one reason? Might there be more than one reason, or do you want to make it limited to just one reason? So a multi-check versus a single check are things to consider. But you're also going to find when you make it easy on yourself by categorizing churn reasons, for example, it's going to be easier for you to enter the information. Or if you start hiring salespeople, it'll be easier for them to enter the information, which means you'll have more data. So take a little bit of time in the beginning to think about the fields, think about the naming of them, and make it so that you can collect useful data and that it's easy to enter. All right. And then you can always import your data if you already have something. If you have a spreadsheet that you're using, et cetera, you can. We're doing really good on time today. Well, I've done a lot of talking. Lead scoring. Now, this is something you're going to have access to if you get an all-in-one platform or if you are using a CRM. Lead scoring is a way of quantifying how relevant is the customer to your product and your services. You'll be assigning a numeric value to say that indicates if they're the right customer or not, to indicate their level of interest. And this helps as you build a team in prioritizing, deciding, should I spend time on this customer? Do they seem really interested or not? And I'm going to pause here and I'm going to switch to, the workbook. Oops. Oopsies. Okay. Because I want to walk you through what quantifying means. It's not intuitive for everyone. So I'm going to walk you through an example. Are we sharing? No. Are we sharing now? I hope so. All right. Give it a second to load. Should have the page number, huh? What? Did I pass it? Oh, here it is. Perfect. All right, let's walk through this so you guys get an idea. So this example here is a SaaS company. They sell a tech platform, but they're targeting small to medium-sized businesses. And in this small business they're targeting, the decision maker is going to be the owner of the business or the CEO, as the case may be, as they may title themselves, right? So when they get a contact that identifies themselves as the owner, that person gets a score of 10. The IT manager gets a lower score, the project manager gets a lower score because they're targeting small companies where the decision's made by the owner. Now, had this been a case where they were targeting large companies, then might be the IT manager who's making the decision, and the CEO is not looking to see if we're using Zoom or not using Zoom. Someone IT is making that decision, so the scores would be reversed. And then industry, what industry they're in, you can assign the numbers for the scoring. Again, company size. You'll see here that a company of size of 1 to 10, if that question is asked in the lead form, if the company is 1 to 10, it gets a low score because maybe they don't have the budget to be purchasing this tech platform or the SaaS platform. It looks like, looking at this, you can see that this example, 51 to 200, that's their sweet spot. Those are the size companies that have the money and the means to buy their platform and actually need their product. You'll notice here that bigger isn't always better. They have here that if the company is more than 200 people, it gives a score of 2. That's even lower than the 1 to 10 notice. Why? Because this tech platform sells something that these large companies are never going to buy because they already have in-house, et cetera. And then there's location, et cetera. All right, so these are demographic ways you can use demographics to decide if it's the right customer or not, and give it a number so that when sales sees it, they can go through their list. Like, let's start with these ones with the high scores, right? The next thing is engagement level. What can you do here? So now, like I said, we're tracking everything. So we might give them a point for down, actually, I'd say out of reverse these. Downloading the ebook should get a smaller score than signing up for a webinar. Signing up for a webinar shows a little bit more interest than just downloading an ebook. Anyone will do that. But visiting the pricing page, that's gold. That means they have intent to buy, right? If they're looking at your pricing page, they're not just getting random information off of your site. They want to buy. And so they should get a high score, and you want your salespeople to reach out. Email engagement, whether or not they've opened it, if they clicked a link in the email, they get more points. And then here's something I want to show you guys. You can actually assign negative points. So if someone unsubscribed, -10. Okay. Or if you're looking at doing suppression lists, someone unsubscribed. Well, unsubscribed, they're obviously not going to be getting any more emails. Random marketing emails, but you might still have them in your system, and you might want to use them as suppression for non-marketing emails, possibly, depending on your situation. Social media engagement, etc. And then here again, we have negative scores, more negative scores that you might want to come up with. So lack of engagement, no website visits, email bounces, disqualifying things. They said they're a student, for example, they're not going to be buying. Their job title's an intern, they're not buying, etc. And then the next thing you can do is define thresholds for lead qualification. What we mean here is there's two levels of leads when we talk about lead qualification. There's marketing qualified leads and sales qualified leads. So marketing qualified leads are people with whom have subscribed and they seem to show interest, and you're going to be marketing to them. You're going to send them emails every time there's a new something. You're going to send them emails. A sales qualified lead is someone who's ready to buy, and you're going to move them on to sales. And so one thing that's often done is you put a threshold. So if they've just downloaded an ebook, but they've had no other interactions, then you've set that to like 8 points, for example. Then you can set your nurture lead. This is your marketing qualified lead minimum to like 10. Exactly, 10 to 24. They have 10 to 24 points. We're going to market to them. They're worth marketing to. Less than that, it doesn't look like they're interested. We're not going to. And then if they get to 25 points, that means they're really like they're the decision maker. They're opening our emails. They're looking at our pricing page. Everything is lining up. The stars are aligned. You're going to move these on to sales qualified leads, and you're going to start reaching out to them. To salesperson will reach out to them again for larger companies, but also for yourself. Even if you're a one-man person, a one-man company, you don't have time to call every single person. You're going to look at the ones that you should be calling based on their lead score. That's it. That's what I wanted to show you guys. I wanted to show you what this lead scoring is and how it works. And by walking you through an example, there's a plain worksheet here just before this build-in example. In case you are going to be using a CRM that has lead scoring, you know exactly, you can go ahead and use this worksheet and adjust it for yourself. All righty. We did it. Breathe. I'm gonna go back now. It's question time. Let me know. Let's go ahead and start with the questions. Go ahead and put your questions in the chat or unmute and ask, whatever works for you.
I have a quick question. So a big part of our business that keeps us afloat is our private events and birthday parties. Mm-hmm. And well, special events in general, like we can do baby showers, bridal showers. So with CRM, I just did last week, I did a Survey Monkey to try and segment my email audience and also get lots of information on like just like market research and stuff.
Fabulous.
Does CRM have like a survey type option? Is that like what the workflow items would be, or am I still better off doing something like SurveyMonkey to get that data and analytics?
Some CRMs do support surveys. SurveyMonkey is one of the best, so you've made a good choice with going with Survey.
Okay.
I do.
It's super clean, and I really like the information that we're getting is super valuable.
Yeah.
I'm curious if there's like a better way. It's really clean. Like I can organize what I've already segmented and who I've emailed, saying thank you for filling out the survey and whatever. So I like all of like those tagging options, but it is still very manual. So I was curious if I'm doing too much work, or if this is just kind of what's expected when you use something like this.
That is what is expected.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. All right.
SurveyMonkey is the best. SurveyMonkey is the best.
Okay.
So
cool.
you're not going to find better.
All right. And then in terms of like something like collecting birthdays, since we can serve a wide variety of different types of events, do you recommend a certain CRM that we could collect like multiple birthdays? So like say, hey, like what's your birthday? And then what's your kids' birthdays? So we can then try and get them for their kids' birthday parties, or like, girls' night for your birthday, something along those lines.
Yeah, all of them, because you can create custom fields.
Okay, so you can do multiple, and that's not too much to ask. Okay. Okay.
Good.
Cool. And then, last question. We occasionally will do like in-person events, like offsite out in the wild, and we'll do like email collection on like a, clipboard kind of thing. Is there, is that bad?
No and yes. Okay. Continue your question, and then I'll tell you why I'm hesitant. Keep going. Or was that the entire question?
Well, so we've done it in the past before, but it wasn't as like focused in terms of marketing. It was just like, I know I'm like getting emails is good, so I'm getting emails. But now I'm recognizing like the value and potential of those emails and kind of being a little bit more focused. So for example, we have a couple events coming up and we're doing a birthday party giveaway. So all of the emails that are going on this list are your entry to win this birthday party, but I'm also using those emails to then segment saying, hey, these people are interested in birthday parties.
Yeah.
So something like that, but I recognize like the opt-in issue and like manually having to put things in, all of that. So is that why?
That is exactly why it was the opt-in. So you can experiment with doing like a QR code, having a little sign with a QR code for them to sign up and give you your email. And that way you solve the opt-in. I would recommend you do both, and test it out for the first couple of times. Do both. Have a little place where people can write in their emails by hand, try the QR code. My guess is you're probably actually going to get more emails with writing in on a piece of paper than you will with a QR code, but not necessarily. Especially if your QR code is for some little prize, like a set of paintbrushes or something. If you do that, then you're going to get a whole lot more emails with the QR code. And that's really one of those slimy moves that all marketers do, is we put a little, we dangle a carrot just to get that email. Like, you want this paintbrush set? Come on, give me your email, right? It's just the way it is. So yeah, try them out, experiment, do both. But I wouldn't say throw away the piece of paper quite yet. See if the QR code works for you. If it doesn't work, and especially if I know you market to, you have sometimes events with veterans. I think the QR codes might not work with them. They may be more comfortable with a piece of paper. Play around with it before you make any final decisions.
Okay. Thank you.
Oh, you're welcome.
And with that, thank you so much, Reem. Danielle, thank you for your question. Thank you all so much for joining us. That is our time today. So just thank you. We learned a lot. I want to say thank you to our partners, the California Office of Small Business Advocate, the Sacramento MBDA Business Center, the San Joaquin SBDC, and the SBTRC Southwest for supporting this program. So next week, we will focus on the art of online advertising, mastering PPC, display, and retargeting. Thank you all again so much for joining us. Reem, this was an amazing presentation. Everyone have a great day.
All right. Take care, everyone.